Mitsubishi Australia has quietly just rolled out what it hopes people such as you and me will construe as a fix for the new Triton's worst feature, which frankly has received epic backlash from owners and of course geriatric bald hyper critics on YouTube. Now, this so-called safety feature is beyond bad in my estimation, and if a normal person had known how bad, meaning how annoying and poorly implemented it was up front prior to parting with the big bucks, it would have been a rock-solid reason not to buy this otherwise excellent dual-cab ute. So this update is kinda pivotal. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au. New cars cheap, but Australia only. Website. Card. Last week, on July the 17th, Mitsubishi Australia deployed an internal service campaign which was numbered 020216. And service campaigns, if you're unfamiliar with these instruments, they're essentially internal, non-safety related, non-urgent, quote-unquote, recalls. At least that's how they work in practice, albeit no notification has to be lodged with the regulator with a service campaign. That's different with a proper recall because recalls are for potentially serious safety defects. So there's that. Now, this service campaign is for the Triton's half-baked, hideous, annoying and ineffective driver monitoring camera system. Can you guess how I feel about it? In total, 12,745 new Tritons are affected, which is quite a lot of Tritons. If you park them in a conga line, they would stretch about 65 k's or something. But at least some of those vehicles are in stock, either in holding yards or at dealerships, so as yet unsold or not delivered, right? The way service campaigns typically work, okay? You drop your car off for its regular service with the dealership, they key in the VIN code into the mothership's computer, and a list of as yet not performed service campaigns and recalls gets spat out. And these get done typically for free in the background, and they're mainly software updates, but sometimes they involve hardware. Basically, they just fix bugs. This one, I'm inferring, is a software update. If you ever buy a used car and that car has been serviced outside of the official dealer network, I strongly advise you to take it to the local dealer or call the service department or send the service department an email with the VIN code, and they can get back to you and tell you if there's anything outstanding to do there in the domain of recalls or service campaigns, and then your car will be up to date and better, and bonus, they do it for free. So if you own a new Triton, you don't necessarily have to wait for the next service for this fix. If that camera is driving you batshit crazy, you can book it in earlier if you want, and the fix is not going to affect the safety rating. Full details next. This report is sponsored by Saily, the new eSIM app backed by Nord Security. Saily is an awesome solution for staying connected without incurring those dreaded roaming charges. More at saily.com/AEJC. As a journalist, I've been basically everywhere, and I've had the sky-high roaming bills to prove it. But you can sidestep those with Saily. Just select the country you're heading to, choose a data plan, download the Saily app, and activate the plan before you leave. When you arrive, you step off the aircraft completely connected. A couple of clicks is all it takes. No need to sprint for a hotspot. Saily just works. Go to saily.com/AEJC now. You'll get 15% off. You'll never have to stand in a queue for a SIM card again, and you'll be seamlessly connected back home. Link in the description. Saily is available in over 150 countries. It's Android and iOS compatible. There's 24/7 chat support. And if you later discover that your device is not eSIM compatible, you will get a full refund. An eSIM is simple. The app plus your device's hardware creates a virtual SIM inside your phone or a tablet or smartwatch, so there's no need to install a physical SIM for every country that you plan on visiting. Go to saily.com/AEJC now and use promo code AEJC to get that 15% off. Stay connected when you travel and slash that dreaded roaming bill as well. You can trust Saily. It's brought to you by Nord Security. According to Mitsubishi's internal documentation, which was leaked to me last week, the driver monitoring system alerts are too sensitive when the driver looks away from the DMS camera, e.g. to look at the door mirror or blind spot, adjust the radio or air control. That's putting it rather mildly. The driver stalking system is simply, to me at least, the shittest implementation of a so-called safety system that I have ever experienced. And dude, I once crashed a Honda NSX at walking pace on a frosty grass verge thanks to first generation ABS. So I think I speak with some authority on abjectly shit safety system implementation. That was an interesting callback to Honda from Tasmania, by the way. The Triton DMS camera system is even worse at this point than Hyundai Kia's speed limit alert system, which chastises you endlessly every time your speedo manages to read 1k over the posted limit, even though the car is travelling under the speed limit in this condition overwhelmingly, owing to how speedos actually fucking well work. The new DMS software continues to support the driver's safety while reducing operational sensitivity to certain natural movements. The minimum speed threshold has also been raised. Well, thank God, or other deity as you see fit. In the domain of camel's back breaking straws, Bits of Shitty's driver stalking system version 1 told me roughly 1 billion nauseating times in just a few Ks that it could no longer detect my face, which made me quite concerned. However, upon investigation, incongruously, my face appeared still to be there, and I did double check using the rear view mirror. Face seemingly still there. What a fucking relief, I said. The new Triton's quaint Keystone Cops no face alert times 1 billion occurred because I was driving into the low winter sun, so there was lots of contrast, face half in and half out of the shade, I assume, and I was wearing sunglasses. Such a bastard. The system just couldn't cope with that, seemingly. Like, how could a team of R&D professionals who presumably do this kind of thing for a living possibly have foreseen a person operating a vehicle like that, driving into the sun in winter wearing shades? Oh, crème bleue, dude. Personally, I didn't actually give a shit that the driver stalking system had this particular problem. My feces giving on this issue was reserved for the fact that some freaking propeller-headed junior programmer at their R&D centre in Nagasaki decided that it was a really, really good idea to keep alerting me concerning the system's gross incompetence on the issue of face detection. But I had no need to be in this particular communications loop every few fucking seconds. I would have been happier to monitor, the dynamic driving environment outside the car where actual threats could kill you from time to time. I'm old-timey like that, I guess. So this is A, distracting, which is what the system hopes to prevent, paradoxically, and B, it's totally fucking annoying, frankly. The system also chastised me repeatedly for daring to look out of the side glass, to confirm that the road was actually clear before turning at intersections, and for keeping my eyes fixed on the road ahead when negotiating tight right-hand turns, which also usually involves looking beyond the boundary of the windscreen, at least at times. The updated driver monitoring system software is evidence of our agility to respond quickly to stakeholder feedback. Sean Westcott there. Westy. Bits of shitty's South African, Australian cheese. He's a good bloke, like a bean counter, but still a seemingly decent human. So that's a bit of a glitch in the matrix, but anyway, it beats the whole black cat deja vu bit, which was getting old by now. Agility is one interpretation of this nose-jerk reaction, I suppose, Westy. And certainly when you deploy any system that is beyond just shit operationally, and the world and his brother kind of lines up over the horizon to bitch and moan to you about it, a certain Cirque du Soleil flair at being able to get up off the floor and wipe the egg off your face and beg the factory for a bit of assistance might be a dead set asset. In collating that feedback, we have leveraged our core market relationship with Mitsubishi Motors Corporation to identify areas of potential future improvement that we believe can maximise our customers' ownership experience. Okay, so no apparent official corporate regret or contrition over the system being so fucking terrible off the bat. Understood, dude. Like, this is what happens when car companies operate in environments where the motoring media is essentially paid for with advertising. Statements can contain anything when nobody scrutinises them. Like, Jesus. Such a big spend on Triton advertising currently too, like, just saying. It'd be a very brave in-house reporter at Drive or some competitor, for example, who put that all at risk, turning off that tap of gold by voicing actual valid criticism. Like, nobody wants that, except people who buy the car. So, on Planet Spin, this is purportedly all actually a benefit, allowing Mitsubishi Australia to strut its amazing agility and tremendous factory relationship core market leverage to maximise ownership experience by making new Triton less shit. I suppose in a way this might make Australia less shit. Slightly. And who am I to sit here in front of you now and argue with that? But I'm not sure that this is the optimal approach for explaining it all away. Like, imagine having a different but related problem. Say, being caught red-handed doing, let's call it, ersatz cardiopulmonary resuscitation on the boss's secretary in the shower in the master ensuite by your wife, who inconveniently returned from a business trip a few crucial hours early. I speak with some authority on that too, dude. In these circumstances, I pose you the following question. Would it be sufficient to exploit your world-class agility and collate the inevitable critical feedback before offering to maximise her future experience by leveraging your core relationship to identify areas of potential future improvement? Certainly that might be worth a shot, but in my considerable experience in this domain, admitting that you fucked up and begging for forgiveness is probably overall a better idea. Two things, okay? This update does not actually mean that the system is fixed. It means it's probably a bit less shit now. So my strong advice to you, if Triton is on your shortlist, is to watch my original Triton video, miracle cure for insomnia perhaps that it is, and temper that tone in the oven of this particular update. Leave it there at, I don't know, 220 degrees C for a couple of hours and see whether it just softens up Goldilocks. Then you should go out and test the system extensively for yourself to make sure it's not going to drive you batshit crazy, despite any improvement from this particular software patch. If Mitsubishi still speaks to me after this, like doubtful, I will test it for you and get back to you in due course. The reason I'm saying all this is not just to have a bit of fun and throw them under the bus, incidentally. Like, I like Mitsubishi. They are one of the best car makers in Australia. I own one and I bought it with my own freaking money and did not ask them for a discount. Although, on the issue of car makers going under the bus, right, if a car maker is standing there and a double-decker is steaming past on approach, one is only human. The calibration of the DMS requires a fine balance, ensuring adherence to what are strict ANCAP safety protocols while not overly impacting the user experience. We're confident the updated software further enhances the drive while remaining 5-star ANCAP safe. Westy there, again, enhancing the drive by making it bit less shit, and keeping it 5-star, but not actually using the F word, i.e. fixed. And this is my second key point. ANCAP, okay? The safety ratings agency with no balls, meaning it's not a regulator. But you are currently paying ANCAP $16 million in the latest round of ANCAP taxpayer funding. ANCAP's current mission, apart from the core business of securing more funding by keeping the minister sweet, is to turn driving into an Orwellian nightmare hellscape of fucked up electronic oversight masquerading as assistance or safety, of which the 2024 Triton's driver stalking camera system is just the tip of a substantial upcoming hideous iceberg. But what do I really think? Westy is actually a wheel at T-Dub's evil empire with the Spice Girls. The car industry's grubby little lobby group, in other words, deep in the shadow of the national monument to the death of integrity in public life. T-Dub is the secretary of the show. Go figure. I would never employ a secretary who looks like that, but I've worked in television. And Westy is the deputy chair of the organisation, alongside MC Hybrid from the King of Mediocrity, with Indian Michael Chiklis from Mazda steering the ship. So, what could possibly go wrong? These executive evil empire dudes and their hench people in the lesser positions on the board, they all talk such a big game. But I put it to you that when the knife frickin' well comes out in a dingy side street, they just drop their DAX and they give ANCAP their wallet. So freaking soft. They allow ANCAP to hand them the latest freaking cuckoo's nest blueprint concerning how to make their cars worse and less attractive to their customers. ANCAP gets a reach around, but you get thrown under the bus because you're only the bunny who spends the money, keeps them afloat, and owns the freaking product. Let me be perfectly clear on this, shall I? There is no evidence, like none, that systems such as this fucked up camera improve road safety. None. If there is, show it to me, dude, because I've looked and I can't find it, and neither can anyone else. On paper, systems such as this look freaking awesome, but they also looked awesome when they were talking anti-lock brakes up. This is a great example, right? Anti-lock brakes did not make the roads just one bit safer, not a bit. What they did with anti-lock brakes was they changed the nature of crashes. Okay, people didn't just run up the arse of the car in front anymore because the wheels were locked. the wheels weren't locked, so they were able to steer. So instead of running up the arse of the car in front, they actually hit a tree at the roadside or a power pole or a pedestrian or a parked car. So yay, ABS. I put it to you that ANCAP is actually just a safety sideshow now, and that what they mainly do is rubber stamp as many Euro NCAP results as possible for $16 million in taxpayer funds. Thanks very much. But at the same time, ANCAP pretends that it is the dog, and car makers, including bits of shitty, indulge them in this quaint fantasy by acting like the tail and just wagging obediently on demand. ANCAP tells car makers that they need to fit a driver stalking camera if they want that 5-star safety rating. Car makers comply and they fit the camera, wagging obediently the whole time, licking the hand, reaching around, whatever. The implementation can be as fucked as you want. That actually doesn't matter to ANCAP. Like, it matters to you and me. It doesn't matter to them, though. It's just a box that they tick. The system can annoy the shit out of you, that's fine. It can fail to detect your face, even though still there, check. No problem with that. It's there, so, 5-star. Yay. That camera is there, dude. Bonus. But even if it were implemented perfectly, beyond perfectly, even to the extent that it detected your soon-to-be ex-wife's face walking up the driveway hours earlier than previously agreed, and sends you an SMS alert so that you could, square things up, there's still no evidence that this is going to make the roads any safer, like none. This is the reason that I'm covering this, right? And we all need to be aware of it so that we can complain in a dignified and respectful way, just like me. That's how I roll, after all. What ANCAP demands is now officially more important to car makers than what you want in a new car. This is an inversion of how free markets are meant to work. 30 years ago or something, ANCAP made the roads safer. They did a great job by forcing car makers to embrace safety as a unique selling proposition and identifying those car makers that did not do that. These days, most cars are beyond very safe, and ANCAP, frankly, struggles to remain relevant, but they are addicted to taxpayer funding. Odds on, you want a new car that's just pleasant to drive and which will protect you and your family in some hideous crash, which I hope you never experience. ANCAP wants to continue to hoover up as much taxpayer cash as they can by being seen by the minister to be demanding more and more and more always of an industry that's already doing an excellent job on safety pretty much across the board. Exciting new tech, like however ineffective, however unproven, however annoying and however badly implemented it is just an ace way for ANCAP to appear to remain relevant to the minister. And unfortunately, this is fucking up the nature of cars and driving, which could be so much better without this bullshit tech. It's turning a simple drive to the shops into a hyper-annoying nightmare hellscape of unnecessary electronic intervention, which is also pretty freaking distracting if you're not used to it. It's costing you a bomb too. Like, you are funding this bullshit and you are paying for that useless tech in your car because it ain't free. And it's not making the roads measurably safer at all. There is no evidence that it is. In fact, it could well be achieving the exact opposite because all of these unnecessary warnings are just so unbelievably distracting from the core task of staying on top of the dynamic driving environment outside the car where the threats are, which can kill you or the people you love, or even someone you don't know who's just sort of coincident in space-time with you. ANCAP has to be torn down and rebuilt urgently, I would argue. And if they ever need someone to do that properly, I volunteer.